Welcome to Trucker of the Night. Out here on the open road, we trust mile markers like gospel. They tell us where we are, how far we've come, and how much farther we've got to go. But what if one of those numbers wasn't supposed to be there? What if it pointed to a place you were never meant to stop? Tonight's story is about a seasoned trucker and the night he found mile marker 197's. Mile marker 197. I've been driving long haul for 22 years, and I've seen a lot. Slick mountain passes, blinding dust storms, deer jumping right through my headlights at 70 miles per hour. I've dealt with tweakers at truck stops, engine fires in the middle of nowhere, and more sunrises than I can count. But nothing ever stuck with me like that night near Battle Mountain, Nevada. Nothing ever shook me like mile marker 197. Thing is, that marker doesn't exist. Not officially, not on any map, not on any route database I've checked since. But I saw it. I stopped there. And I came back with something broken inside me. It started like any other haul. I was pushing westbound through Interstate 80, hauling cold storage from Cheyenne to Sacramento. I just crossed into Nevada, empty road, full moon, truck humming like a lullaby. It was after 1 a.m., and I was running on fumes and gas station coffee. Somewhere past marker 183, my GPS began to flicker. Nothing dramatic, just a hiccup in the display. But then the voice glitched. Instead of saying the usual, "Continue for 112 miles," it spat out a string of static, then whispered something. I thought I misheard it. "Exit in 14 miles." I wasn't expecting any exits until Winnemucca, which was still an hour off. But sure enough, the signs started changing. The green reflective markers, 184, 185, 186. Then suddenly, 197. I blinked, slowed, pulled slightly into the shoulder. The marker was old, faded, almost dusty, like it had been sitting out for decades. No graffiti, no bullet holes, just the number, 197. And right ahead, an off-ramp. No lights, no sign, just a turnoff that dipped into blackness. I wasn't planning to stop, but the low fuel light popped on, and my bladder started doing its own countdown. I figured maybe it was a maintenance road, maybe an old station. Hell, maybe the heat was getting to me. But my hands were already turning the wheel. The ramp was longer than expected, twisting like a back road, lined with scraggly brush and sand. My headlights caught glimpses of barbed wire fences and rusted signs. I saw an old billboard at the edge of the trees. The paint peeled off so bad, all I could read was "Open 24 hours." Then, out of the dark, it appeared. A gas station. The old kind. 2 pumps under a cracked overhang. Lights flickering like fireflies trapped in glass. A small building with a garage door and a diner-style structure attached, with one booth, light still on inside. There was no sign of movement, but the door was open, and the jukebox was playing. I pulled in slow, headlights washing over the cracked pavement. The pumps looked ancient, green metal bodies with analog dials. No card reader, no LED screens. One of them was rocking slightly, like someone had just let go of it. I cut the engine. The jukebox was playing a song I hadn't heard in years. "Blue Moon of Kentucky, Keep on Shining." Patsy Cline. It sounded grainy, like it was playing from an old vinyl or a busted AM signal. The kind of song my mom used to play on road trips before everything turned digital. Something about it made the air feel heavier, nostalgic, but wrong. I climbed out of the cab, boots crunching on gravel, and walked toward the station. The place smelled like dust and engine grease. The diner booth was lit, just one bulb hanging low. A half-empty cup of coffee sat on the table, still steaming, but there was no one there. I called out, "Hello? Anyone working?" But all I got back was the creak of the swinging door behind the register. I stepped inside. Everything looked untouched since the 70s. Cigarette machine, wood-paneled walls, rotary phone on the counter. There was even a calendar behind the cash register. March 1976. I swear the page was new. Not yellowed, not brittle, like it had been printed yesterday. That's when I noticed something behind the counter. A photo, framed, sitting crooked against the wall. It was a group picture of men in gas station uniforms, 8 of them all smiling, arms over each other's shoulders. Black and white, grainy, but I recognized something. The man on the far right. It was me. Same face, same building, same scar above my eyebrow from a bar fight I got into back in 2009. But the picture was dated, July 3rd, 1975. I backed out, fast. The air outside felt colder now. Still desert night, but sharper, biting. And there was a new sound, like distant breathing. Not mine, not from the building, from the dark, from the far end of the lot, near the tree line. I turned and saw something move. Just a shape, not running, not approaching, just standing, watching. I didn't run, not yet. I just backed toward my rig, slow and careful. Whatever was in the tree line didn't follow, but it didn't leave either. It just tilted its head like it was studying me. The jukebox was still playing. Another old song now. Sleepwalk by Santo and Johnny. Instrumental, dreamy, completely wrong for the situation. It made my skin crawl. I reached the cab and swung open the door. My heart stopped. The driver's seat was empty, but it was wet. Not soaked, not muddy, just damp and warm, like someone had been sitting there minutes ago. I grabbed my flashlight from the glove box and swept it across the interior. Nothing. Except for the GPS screen, it was back on, glowing green, showing a single arrow pointing in a loop. No road, no location name. Just one word pulsing in red. Return. I jumped down and circled the truck. The fuel tank cover was hanging open. The cap had been removed, and sitting on top of the step rail was a military dog tag. Worn, scratched, chain coiled, like it had been placed there gently. I picked it up. The name was mine. R. Matheson, USMC. But I never served in the Corps. I never wore a uniform. I never even signed up. I threw the tag and climbed into the cab, jamming the key in. The engine turned, once, twice, then stopped. All the lights died. The radio clicked on. Not music this time. Just a voice, my voice, but warped, slowed down, like it had been recorded through water. You left us behind. You don't belong out there. This is your stop, Ray. I opened the door and bolted back toward the road. The ramp was gone. Where the pavement should have curved up to the highway, there was just open desert, flat, dead, silent. And behind me, from the speakers of the gas station, I heard the last thing I expected, applause. The applause stopped as suddenly as it started, then silence. Not desert silence, the kind you get used to, but something deeper, weighted, like the air was holding its breath. I turned slowly, expecting to see someone, anything. But the gas station was gone. No lights, no pumps, no building, just sand, flat, untouched sand, like nothing had ever been there. I stood there, alone in the dark, trying to make sense of it. Then I felt it. Heat, radiating behind me, pulsing like a slow heartbeat. I turned and saw headlights, distant, faint, coming over a ridge. A truck, a real truck. I waved my arms, screamed. The driver slowed, braked hard, and jumped out with a flashlight. "Jesus, man, are you okay?" I nodded, barely. He helped me into his cab, asked what I was doing out here. I looked at the clock. 3:17 a.m. Exactly 1 hour had passed since I saw mile marker 197. But when I checked my phone, the date had changed. 2 days. Gone. Back at the nearest station in Battle Mountain, I asked around. No one had ever heard of a rest stop between markers 186 and 198. No off-ramp, no gas station, nothing. I pulled up satellite images, old maps, DOT documents, nothing. But I know what I saw, and I wasn't the only one. 2 weeks later, a guy at a Petro in Salt Lake saw my rig and asked if I'd ever run west of Elko. Said he had a friend who disappeared near mile 197 in 2003. Left a voicemail the night he vanished. Sounded like he was talking to himself. Said he was going home. That voicemail ended with static and the sound of a jukebox playing Sleepwalk. I don't drive nights anymore. I stick to cities, crowded roads, familiar routes. But sometimes, just sometimes, I catch a glimpse of a green marker in the dark that doesn't match the map. And if I ever see 1970 again, I won't stop. No matter how low the tank gets, no matter how tired I am, I won't stop, because I don't think you come back a second time. The Hitchhiker That Knew My Name. Narrated by Thomas Tom Ridley. I've always followed one rule on the road. Don't pick up hitchhikers. Not because I'm heartless or scared of getting jumped. It's just, the road is strange. You spend enough nights behind the wheel, you learn that people standing on the shoulder in the middle of nowhere usually come with more baggage than just a backpack. But that night, I broke the rule. I was hauling a double trailer through northern Arizona, U.S. Route 160, right past Kayenta, toward the Colorado line. Long, empty stretch. No other vehicles for miles. It was late, close to 3 a.m., and I was fighting to keep my eyes open. That's when I saw him, standing just past the next mile marker, right where my high beams cut into the dark. Skinny guy, young, hoodie, thumb out. No pack, just standing there like he'd been waiting all night. I slowed. I don't even know why. Maybe I thought he looked too clean to be trouble. Maybe I thought he was lost. Maybe I was just too damn tired. I rolled down the passenger window. "You all right?" I asked. He stepped closer, lit by my running lights. His face looked pale, but calm. "Yeah," he said. "Headed east if you're going." I nodded. "Cab's warm." He climbed in. No hesitation, no thank you. Just slid in and shut the door. That's when I noticed the air inside the cab changed. Not cold, not warm, just heavier. We drove in silence for a bit. Desert rolled past the windows, flat, dry, nothing under a ceiling of stars. After a few minutes, I tried small talk. "Rough night?" He nodded but didn't look at me. "Been walking a long time." "Where you headed?" "Doesn't matter, just away." I gave a polite chuckle. "Ain't we all?" He turned then, slowly, looked at me for the first time. Eyes dark, not threatening, just deep, like something old was staring out from inside. "You always hum when you're nervous?" I blinked, because I was humming, but I hadn't noticed. "What?" I asked. "You were humming that same tune when your dad left." My stomach dropped. I didn't answer, because he was right. I was humming "Gentle on My Mind," the same song I used to hum when I was 9 years old, when my father walked out and never came back. something I've never told anyone. I gripped the wheel tighter, didn't look at him, didn't say a word for at least 5 miles. My heart was thumping behind my ribs, but I played it cool, kept my eyes on the asphalt, and acted like nothing was wrong. But something was very wrong. No one knew about that song. Not my ex-wife, not my brother, not the guys I've been driving with for years. It was something buried in a box I never opened. And yet this kid, this stranger, just dug it out, like it belonged to him. Eventually, I forced myself to speak. "You from around here?" He looked out the window. Desert sliding by, lit up in strips by my headlights. "Not really." "Where'd you start walking?" No answer. "You got a name?" "You can call me Jacob." I nodded. It didn't feel like his name. "You know mine?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He didn't hesitate. "Tom Ridley." That shut me up. I hadn't told him. There was no name tag on my vest, no paperwork on the seat. I'd cleaned the cab 2 days ago, and my license was in my pocket. "Have we met?" I asked. He shook his head. "Not yet." At that point, I was done pretending. I reached for my phone in the dash cradle and opened the screen. No signal. Not a single bar. Number 3G. No GPS. Just a blank, pulsing screen. "Don't worry," Jacob said. "It won't work until we're through." "Through what?" He looked at me again. The hollow. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I was trying to hold on to something sane. "All right. You've had your fun. What's the deal? You messing with me? Some kind of psychic?" "I don't mess," he said calmly. "I remember." I didn't respond. The road stretched ahead endlessly. But something was different now. There were no signs, no mile markers, no shoulders. Just one endless black ribbon. The GPS flickered once, then displayed a single word. South. We were supposed to be headed east. I pulled the truck over, hard, hit the brakes, threw the hazards, and stared straight ahead as the engine rumbled low beneath me. I didn't turn to Jacob, didn't want to, but I asked, "What are you?" He didn't answer at first. When he did, his voice was calm. "I'm just a passenger, Tom. Same as you. You knew things you shouldn't. You brought me here." That got me. I turned and snapped. "I picked you up off the road." He didn't flinch, didn't blink. "You've been seeing me for years. You just finally stopped this time." I opened the door and stepped out onto the asphalt. I needed air. The night felt different now. Heavier, like the sky was pressing down on the earth. There were no stars anymore, just a low ceiling of gray that pulsed softly, like distant heat lightning. I walked around the rig, checked the tires. Anything to feel grounded. Then I saw something that made my stomach twist. There were footprints in the dirt along the shoulder, but they weren't heading toward the cab. They were coming out of it. When I got back in, Jacob was gone. No door slam, no footsteps, just gone. I sat there, hands on the wheel, sweating, and then I noticed the smell. Old, dry, like dust and burnt plastic. I looked at the seat. There was a photo lying there, crumpled, faded. It was me, 12 years old, standing beside a truck I didn't recognize, smiling like it was the happiest day of my life. Next to me in the photo, Jacob. Same hoodie, same face, same dead-eyed stare. I dropped the photo. It fluttered to the floor mat like dead paper. My hands were shaking. I started the engine, slapped the GPS, turned the radio dial, anything to feel real again. The CB squawked. That old static hissed. Then a voice came through, quiet, crackling, like a whisper traveling through decades of bad wiring. "Southbound 9. Do you copy?" I grabbed the mic. "This is Ridley. I'm here." Silence. Then, Mile marker 0's behind you now. You pass the hollow. Don't stop again. Then the line went dead. I drove and drove. No more GPS. No signs. Just the road unfolding forever like a black tongue in the dark. Eventually dawn came. Light crept over the desert, and I saw a highway sign again. Flagstaff, 32 miles. I exhaled like I hadn't breathed in hours. Pulled over at a rest stop. Tried to piece it all together. I still have the photo. I didn't want to keep it, but throwing it away felt wrong. I took it to a lab once, hoping they'd tell me it was a fake. They said the film was authentic. A Polaroid, likely from the early 1990s. Problem is, I was born in 1984. And the truck in the background? It was registered in my name in 1978. Sometimes when I'm driving night freight and I see a hitchhiker on the shoulder, I wonder if it's him. I pass without stopping, but every so often, on the very edge of my mirror, I swear I see someone already sitting in the passenger seat, not moving, just waiting. Rest Stop 103, narrated by Cal Mercer. There are only two kinds of rest stops out on Interstate 70, the ones you remember because they're useful, and the ones you remember because they're wrong. Rest Stop 103? That one lives in my head like a splinter behind my eyes. I've been driving coast to coast for 16 years, seen all kinds of strange. People waving invisible flags on the shoulder, flashing lights above cornfields in the Midwest. Even picked up a woman once who vanished when I hit mile marker 400. But nothing got under my skin like what happened off I-70 near the Colorado-Kansas line. It was just past 3 a.m. I was pushing through the tail end of a triple run from Salt Lake to St. Louis. That part of Kansas is flat, dead, and empty as hell. It'll eat your mind alive if you don't have music or caffeine. I was running on fumes and old country radio, trying not to drift when I saw a sign I didn't remember. Rest. Stop 103, 1 mile. That didn't track. I know that stretch of Interstate 70 like the back of my hand. There's a big station at 95, then nothing for 50 miles, number 103. But there it was again. Another sign. Rest Stop 103, 1/2 mile, 24-hour service. I figured maybe they built something new, or maybe I just missed it before. I didn't question it. My bladder needed relief more than my brain needed consistency. The off-ramp was narrow. No lights, just one flickering lamp at the edge of a cracked parking lot and a squat building made of old red brick. The kind of structure that looked like it had been there since before the interstate existed. I parked. My rig was the only vehicle there. Even from the lot, I could see the windows were dark, but the neon sign above the restroom door glowed faintly. Men, open. The inside smelled like bleach and rust. It had 2 stalls, 1 urinal, and a cracked mirror above a sink that coughed when I turned it on. No graffiti, no trash. It felt too clean, like someone had just cleaned it minutes before I arrived. I relieved myself, washed my hands, looked up, and stopped breathing. The reflection wasn't right. It was me. Same face, same flannel shirt. But I wasn't moving. I raised my hand. The reflection didn't. I took a step back. He smiled. I stumbled back so hard I slammed into the stall behind me. My heart was pounding in my throat, and for a second I thought maybe I'd fallen asleep at the wheel, and this was some dream. A weird hallucination brought on by fatigue. But the pain in my shoulder was real. The stinging on my palms from hitting the tile was real. And when I looked back up, the mirror was empty. No me, no reflection. Just a cracked sink, a humming light, and nothing looking back. I backed toward the door, grabbed the handle. It didn't budge. No lock, no jam, just solid. Like the door wasn't a door anymore. I hit it, then slammed into it with my shoulder. Nothing. Then I heard footsteps, but not from inside the restroom, from outside, heavy boots on pavement. And then my truck started. The engine turned over just once, then again, then roared to life. I slammed against the door harder, yelled, screamed. Nothing. Then I saw movement through the crack between the door and the frame. Just a sliver of view, but I could see someone in my cab, sitting in the driver's seat, hands on the wheel. Then they turned and looked toward the building and smiled. It was me. I stumbled back from the door, panting, hand on the wall to steady myself. Whoever or whatever that was in my rig, it looked just like me, but something in the smile wasn't right. Too wide, too calm, too knowing. I looked around the restroom for another exit. Nothing. No window, no vent big enough for anything but rats. Just the stalls, the sink, and that damn mirror, which now had a reflection again, but not of me. It was the stall door, slowly opening, and from within, darkness, not shadows, actual darkness, like a wall of black ink rising up from the tile, creeping along the floor. And something stepped out of it, not crawling, not dragging, just stepping, like it had legs and purpose and a very clear understanding of where it was going. It wore my face, but older, weathered, pale, eyes like glass, cold and unreadable. It didn't speak. It just tilted its head, the same way the hitchhiker did in that other story. The same way a predator studies something before it moves. I did what anyone would do. I ran, straight into the mirror. I don't know why. Maybe I thought it was a way out. Maybe it looked like the only thing left that could change. But instead of glass, I hit nothing. I passed through and fell, hard, onto pavement. Night air hit me like ice. I sat up, dazed, looking around. I was outside. The rest stop was behind me. The lights were off. The door was shut. My truck was gone. And I was holding something in my hand. My own driver's license. But the photo wasn't mine anymore. It was his. The photo on the license was me, but not quite. Same face, different eyes, cold, still, like the DMV had captured a corpse pretending to smile. The name was still Kelvin Mercer, but the expiration date was March 6th, 1971. I was born in '84. I stood in the dark for what felt like hours, waiting, listening. But no cars passed, no trucks rolled by. The air was so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat echoing in my ears. Eventually I started walking, 3 miles through dry shoulder and night wind, until I found a service station with a payphone. They didn't believe me, of course. I told them my truck had been stolen. I told them I'd blacked out and woken up alone. I didn't mention the mirror. Didn't mention the copy of me that drove away in my rig. Didn't mention the thing that stepped out of the stall wearing my face. 3 weeks later, my truck was found 400 miles away in a Walmart parking lot in Amarillo. Engine still warm, cab empty. But someone had been driving it. The logbook was filled in, routes I'd never taken, deliveries I never made, all signed by me. Sometimes I still see Rest Stop 103. The sign appears on the shoulder for just a second, usually when I haven't slept. Sometimes it says 103. Sometimes it says Mercer 103. I don't stop anymore. Even if I have to piss blood, I don't stop. Because I know who's still in there, waiting, looking back at the mirror. wearing my face. There are places along the highway that don't show up on GPS, and sometimes that's for a reason. If you ever see Rest Stop 103, keep driving, because not everything that looks like you is you. If this story made you think twice about your next late-night stop, leave a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to Trucker of the Night, where the road never really ends